Welcome to the all-new Marvel Roundup, the Southgate Media Group guide to the Marvel Comics of the week. As always, I am Phil&rsquo, because no one else will be, and with me is...
Charlie&rsquo.
Alright, let's jump in. I will start with Spider-Man number 3. Just to warn you now, we don't really get Miles in costume this issue. Just in his own head, but...
Yeah.
What opens up where the last issue ended, Miles' mother is called in reinforcements, his grandmother, who basically is yelling at him to straighten up, get his grades together, and basically don't be a criminal, stay off drugs, keep it with Jesus,
Yep. I'm taking your cell phone, but what if Tony Stark needs to call me?
Exactly. Oh, you did browse this.
Yeah, I did. I browsed Spider-Man. I browsed Old Man Logan. I browsed a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't buy, but I browsed.
But, yeah, and his grandmother makes a comment about, his uncle, his dad's brother, and which sets off his dad, because in the Ultimate Universe, I don't know how they're going to play it here, in the Ultimate Universe, his uncle was the Prowler. Yeah. There was a whole story. Yeah, there's a whole story where he was like a major criminal, and then like he was trying to get Miles' dad into that whole world. But then Nick Fury came to Miles' father, and he wanted him to work for him because they were trying to get close to Wilson Fisk, who in the Ultimate Universe was trying to set up this big mutant growth hormone ring.
Fascinating.
But then Miles' friend Lana Baumgartner shows up at the door, and his grandmother basically slams the door in her face. But yeah, if you're a fan of Miles, pick it up. But there's not a lot of action in this issue. But then
But you get a nice meet scene with there's two great scenes, because I really liked the Ms. Marvel scene. That was very cute.
I was gonna say he's pouting in his room, and who shows up? Charlie, your favorite.
Kamala.
No.
Yes, and then of course we get the really great scene at the very end.
Oh, with the black cat.
Yes, I was really tempted to pick it up after that, because Hammerhead.
Yeah, I was gonna say you could always pick up next issue, because basically they're just setting up a partnership, and I guess she's trying to set Hammerhead against the new Spider-Man. I don't know what her problem with Miles is, but.
What confuses me there is wasn't Hammerhead one of Mr. Negative's men, or did that get changed? Or
I'm trying to remember. I know Negative could control people, so maybe he was controlling Hammerhead against his will.
Yeah, no, that was it. He like had Hammerhead's whole crew was his crew for a while there. So
I don't know.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Negative's I think still in Hong Kong, so.
Yeah. So there you go.
But the issue ends with I don't know if you recognized him, Fabio Medina, who people who read the first volume of All New X-Men will recognize as Gold Balls.
Gold Balls?
Well, yes, his power is he creates and shoots, I think, out of his hands like these giant balls made out of gold.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. There you go. Well, a young mutant who didn't know how to name himself, so yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, not a lot of Miles in costume, but it was a good issue. I'll give it a thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
And then since we're on a Spider-Man kick, I will jump to Spider-Man 2099, number 9. This is... I'm having trouble picking, so this is probably one of my 2 picks of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Did you browse through this at all?
No, I did not browse through this.
Okay. What opens up, Miguel and Peter have Tempest set up in a hospital, I guess, it doesn't say where, but basically, Miguel's like, he said he's going to go talk to Tempest's mother and find out what's going on, but, and Peter's like, do you know how to find her? He's like, no, but I put a tracker on Man Mountain Marco, so we're getting Man Mountain Marco again, Charlie.
Yay, Man Mountain Marco.
And Peter's like, you have a plan? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm going to beat him. Beat him up. And
that'll work.
Yeah, and Peter says, well, what if he doesn't know anything? And Miguel's like, well, this is going to be a really bad day for him. So he heads to, looks like Preacher's bar. And the bartender's asking, because Marco's there, and the bartender's asking him, he's like, what happened to you? Because he sees all these scratches on him, and he said he got in a fight, and the bartender's like, with who, Wolverine? And he's like, no, Spider-Man. And the bartender's like, since when does Spider-Man tear people up? And Marco's like, I don't know, but next time I'll be ready. Until Miguel shows up and says hi, and decks him. So he's asking, where's Mrs. Monroe, which is Tempest's mother, and he webs him to the floor, and Marco's like, I don't know, and Miguel asks Lila, and she says his vitals spiked, there's a 98% chance he's lying, and he's like, 98, he's like, what about the other 2%? And she's like, that he's still upset that the Mets lost the World Series, and it's distorting his readings. So Miguel's like, quit lying, or it's gonna go bad for you, and Marco's still not talking, so Miguel grabs his hand and says, all right, where's she at? And he says, I don't know. And so Miguel breaks his first finger.
Oh. I'm never comfortable when superheroes turn to torture. I have to be honest with you.
So he asks him again, and he still says he doesn't know, so Miguel breaks the second finger, which is when Marco goes, Scarsdale, 18 Mountain Avenue, road ends in a cul-de-sac. It's the purple house on the right. So.
Yeah. Okay.
So Miguel gets up, and the bartender finally gets out a shotgun and blasts him in the chest, but luckily he's got that new armor, so.
Yay.
He said it does, it doesn't penetrate the costume, but double barrel shotgun at close range still hurts like a mother.
Yeah. Good thing he was wearing his special thermal B long underwear.
Which is when Marco breaks free, and he comes after Miguel, and he's like, I don't care which Spider-Man you are, no one does that to me. So now they're fighting on the streets. They came through the window. But basically, Miguel just starts pounding on Marco until his face is all messed up. And he stops, tells Lila to call an ambulance, and then he takes off. But even he was bothered by his actions, Charlie. He was like, he's all mad at Tempest's mother, and he took it out on Marco. He's like, but he was mad at Marco because last issue in the hospital he was threatening to like hurt babies if Miguel didn't leave. Yeah. So he's like Marco crossed the line. He's like, but he's a villain. He's supposed to cross the line. He's like, what am I?
Well, that is the question. Not Miles. Miguel.
Yeah. So he's taken off to Scarsdale, and he tells Lila to check the address, and she tells him the residence belonged to Lawrence Big Larry Schrank, but Schrank disappeared in November of 2010. Police never made any arrests, but they suspected it was mob related. And he's like, "Who reported him missing?" And she goes, "His wife Lorraine." And he's like, "Yep, that's her."
Mm-hmm.
So he comes in, and surprise, surprise, Tempest's mother starts shooting blasts out of her hand at him.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
That'll do you.
She shoots at him, and he disappears, and she goes, oh God, I'm so sorry. And he goes, no, he just used his cloak to make it look like he disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
The mother says she'll go quietly, and he's like, what? She's like, where are we going? And she's like, you're not here to arrest me? He's like, I'm not a cop. Why would I arrest you? She's like, you don't know? He's like, what am I supposed to know? She goes, I killed my husband. And he says, you killed Tempest's father? She's like, no. She's like, he abandoned us when Tempest was 4. He's like, how do you know about Tempest? And he goes, she dates my boss.
Yes.
But he's asking her about her powers. She says she's had them as long as she can remember. She don't know why. So what I'm thinking, either mutant or inhuman.
Well, there you go. Probably mutant because, they still have those in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. But basically she says she killed her second husband because basically he was taking naughty photos of Tempest when she was younger. So.
Ooh. Well, that's.
Yeah. So the mother found out and basically did what she tried to do to Miguel. She blasted him out of existence.
That's a pretty impressive power set, really.
Yeah. And then the issue ends with the cyborg, where they're calling him Queeg here, but he had another name in the first series, but
yeah.
Basically him and a woman named Aisha, Aisa. They're up on the mountain and they find Gloriana, remember the Inhuman?
Mm-hmm.
So looks like supervillain team up time.
Yay!
But
I think that's Isa. I'm not sure.
Maybe. But like I said, really good issue. Like I said, I think I'm gonna go with 2 picks of the week this week. This is my first one.
Really? Okay. Yeah,
it's a big thumbs up.
Very good. Very good. Well, I'm not going to say this really rises to a pick of the week, although it does have a lot of things I love. New Avengers is such an interesting, self-aware book without being fourth wall breaky. Mm-hmm. As promised in last episode, this episode we get the cover says, "Run, it's American Kaiju," and we open up on a Project Troubleshooter, the very latest off-the-books facility for the production of human weapons, and we see a young Corporal Ziller. His name is Todd Ziller. Remember that, because it may be foreshadowing that his name is Todd Ziller. So basically, they say, well, we've got this crazy concoction of pretty much everything. General Maverick, whom Thunderbolt Ross thinks is kind of heavy-handed. And he says, "You said this was our best shot at recreating the super soldier serum." And it says, "Even so, we've only ever had a best guess at the original Erskine formula, sir. We're plugging the gaps in our knowledge with hacked and reverse-engineered versions of a dozen other transformative sciences: gamma enhancement, mutant growth hormone, PIM particles, even the Connors formula, for Pete's sake. Lizard serum. Gee, don't think that's going to come back in any possible way." They started up, and of course... Oh, by the way, did I mention that the title of this episode is... Up from the Depths? Do you get that reference?
No, maybe I'm slow. What is...
Up from the depths, 30-story high. He stands at the sky. Godzilla. Dun, dun. Roar. Godzilla. Todzilla. And Todzuki. No Todzuki in this, unfortunately. But anyway, so we'll see next episode what happens. Anyway, so we, the scientist wants to abort. General Maverick says, "You ask me, this is just about perfect." And he's staring at the giant kaiju head, staring at him. It's a good thing they had such a very large open arena to have young Todd Ziller undergo his transformation. So, almost as if they anticipated the creation of an American kaiju. We cut to Rick Jones, who is kind of bored in Ames Rec Room. They have a classic 1980s retro vintage Rick Jones video game with lousy graphics, where foreshadowing he fights some sort of big green monster. Power Man is kind of annoyed that Rick still has not said thank you. And he says, "You know what? When you'll get a thank you card when I'm out of here, okay, kid? When I'm not surrounded by a bajillion AIM goons." And DaCosta comes in, brings him a satchel that they went to one of his safe houses in Toronto to get, and he has in his satchel one of Taskmaster's shields. It says, not quite as awesome as the toys Coulson's people took away, but a shield's a shield, right? And there's some fun stuff in here, including what appears to be a Thing hand. I don't know where the rest of the Thing is. I'm guessing that's maybe a part of the old Thing armor from when the Thing lost his powers and was eventually given to Ms. Thing. But okay, moving right along. We see the three helicopters coming towards them. AIM is a little surprised it's not S.H.I.E.L.D. They basically say, well, we stole, we were on U.S. soil, so the Army's just been waiting to attack us like this. They prep Avengers 5. And it says, Tony Ho says, who I found out this issue is the daughter, I believe, or just the heir of the great Ho Yinsen, who, of course, is the guy who designed the Iron Man armor, you will recall, along with some help from a guy named Tony, as I recall. Anyway, the Prep Avengers 5, it needs a full crew, so they're going to have Bashir and Tony Ho be members of the, essentially help him man it well. And then you have, as they approach, they instruct AIM to surrender the Whisperer when they obviously do not. He triggers the American Kaiju, your tax dollars at work. And it's a giant Todzilla monster with an American flag painted on his belly. And he says, USA, USA, as he's smashing all over everything. Power Man is being all protective of Ava because he's like, you don't have any powers anymore, but you're still pushing yourself so hard. And it says, I'm not going to stop working, Vic. Powers or no powers, I'm still the White Tiger. And they go into the big, giant robot, because that's what Avengers 5 is. Uses a psionic interface through pod to allow them to sort of work as one being as they go to do battle with the American Kaiju. Songbird, who we know is actually a super secret S.H.I.E.L.D. agent working deep cover, tells Hawkeye it's not too late if he wants to go back to S.H.I.E.L.D. Wink, wink. But he's like, no, Mel, S.H.I.E.L.D. was my boss. You guys are my friends. I don't betray my friends. But you're right. It's not a good time. Any last words? USA. And then out from a interdimensional rift comes Avengers 5, punching Todzilla interface. And then we cut to a cloaked helicarrier led by S.H.I.E.L.D. agent John Garrett. Mostly a robot, also mostly an a-hole. Yes, he's all roboted. But anyway, he says, the Department of Defense wheels out its giant monster, the one we've been trying to... He says, now see, I hate poetry, but that's poetry. Department of Defense wheels out its giant monster, the one we've been trying to get intel on for months, and that keeps all DaCosta's biggest guns busy, and then we move in. Poetry. And it says, advance ideas mechanics. This is S.H.I.E.L.D. You're under arrest. Give us the Whisperer or we'll take him. And you got Songbird and Hawkeye against a cadre of winged S.H.I.E.L.D. operatives. Next issue. Looks like DaCosta's beating the heck out of people. As to be expected, thumbs up on that. Like I said, really a great book. I love the self-awareness and the self-reference. It's pretty awesome. Really love this book. Big thumbs up.
Which issue was that?
That was issue. It says case number 9, so I'm guessing it's issue 9.
Yes.
I gotta say, if you're looking for another Avengers book, because goodness knows,
there's not enough.
It's not enough. But if you want one more, this I would say I highly recommend the New Avengers. It's a bold take on the Avengers concept. Cool. Avengers idea mechanics.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, for my last 2 books on my own, I'm going to jump into the X-Men pool. I'll start with Old Man Logan number 4. You said you skimmed this, right?
I did skim it. I will say this. They really draw old Steve Rogers very nicely old.
Yeah.
I don't quite know how he's still able to beat the heck out of Old Man Logan, but...
Well, he does have the photon, that old photon shield.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because, it opens up in Brooklyn, and Logan's like, this ain't right. He's like, he's like, Rogers never, Steve Rogers never went old like this. And Steve's like, look who's talking. But he basically comes at Steve and Kate, and they knock him out. Where Logan has like a quick dream of his daughter, and he's like, what time is it? Are you okay? And she's like, of course not, Daddy. You let me die. Which wakes him up. When he wakes up, they're in Alberta. And Steve's telling him, yeah, because Logan's like sniffing. He's like, Alberta, and he's like, yeah, near your home. He said the X-Men thought this was a fitting place for it, and Logan's like, it. And Steve's like, yeah, in the cabin I brought you here to see. He's like, but I want your word you'll behave. And Logan's like, fine. And Kate's like, are you sure? And Steve's like, Logan was always a man of his word. So they let him loose, and he's like, this is Mysterio, isn't it? He's like, this whole thing, the woods, you. He's like, it's all still a Mysterio illusion. I'm back in New York. And he's like, sorry, bub, I ain't gonna fall for it. So once again, Steve activates the shield, and they go at it again.
Yeah.
And because Steve's like, what do you say? He's like, the Wolverine I knew was an honorable man, and Logan's like, where I come from, honor is dead, just like everything else.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so they're fighting. He's like, have to stop the future. And Steve's like, what? And Logan's like, I came from the future. Everyone is dead there. You, the X-Men, everyone. I have to stop it from happening. And Steve just like stops and says, you need to see something. And they go in this cabin, and because Logan's like, what is this? It doesn't smell right. And Steve's like, you're too stubborn, but I wanted to break this to you easily. He's like, the X-Men, Forge designed this, and the X-Men just wanted to let you rest in a peaceful place. And Logan's like, what are you talking about? So they take the whole floor is like an elevator. They go down. And what's down there, Charlie?
Wolverine
encased in adamantium, just like he was at the end of Death of Wolverine.
Yeah, that's gotta be weird. Although, not for nothing. Oh, no, because he had lost his healing factor. That's right. I was going to say, he could still be alive in there.
Yeah, but I was going to say, even with his healing factor, he probably couldn't breathe in there.
Well, that's an interesting question. Does Wolverine need to breathe? Given that he has been a skeleton and come back from that, maybe not so much. But, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I just find it funny when Steve says, you died, this isn't your past. It's like, how many times have people come back from the dead, especially X-Men?
True, but if he doesn't remember this particular dying...
That's true.
Officially, Wolverine hadn't died up until this point, so, but, no. What's interesting is, what is it, was it Mark Millar, who did when he was doing the Fantastic Four run, he actually had sort of a future Old Man Logan come back with Baby Banner, the baby Bruce that he had, or was it the little baby Hulk that he stole? And that's from a future version of that Old Man Logan. So be interesting if those guys cross. But in that one, it's actually revealed that basically Logan's powers come from a tie to the goddess Gaia, and because Gaia was upset because all of the denizens of future Earth were abandoning her, and so she took away his healing factor in that, and then gave it back to him at another point. And it was a pretty interesting story, which I thought was actually a pretty cool explanation for people with these awesome healing factors, that they would be bound to elder gods, because why not?
That is cool.
Yes.
All right.
Look at that's from that was actually where you get the death of Galactus and a whole host of things, including, I believe, where eventually, it goes into Hickman's run very nicely. Hickman was great, because even though that was like not the best run on FF, Hickman totally embraced it as continuity and said, "No, I'm gonna run with this stuff. You watch."
Yeah,
make it all make sense. Give me a minute.
Yeah, he did a decent run.
Yeah.
All right, so they're looking at the body, and Steve's asking. He's like, Wolverine died. He's like, how did you get here, Logan? And Logan's like, He's like, I remember where I was. He's like, I remember my family, the future, the wastelands, and then a flash of white, and I was here. And Steve's like, family? He's like, yeah, I lost them to Banner and his clan. And Steve's like, Banner? He's like, Lord, what kind of nightmare did you come from, Logan? And he says, the worst kind. Seen enough.
Yeah.
And Steve's like, he's like, let us help you, Logan. He says, you want to help me? He's like, just let me go, Cap. He said, you said it yourself. Wolverine is dead. Let me stay that way. So, basically, I guess Logan then starts traveling across Canada, going, looks like from bar to bar, and then all of a sudden he's out walking one night, and who shows up? The big Sentinel, the X-Men Cerebra. Which, right behind her is Storm and the adult Iceman. So I'm assuming this is I guess this runs into Extraordinary X-Men #1.
Yes, that's what I gathered as well.
So, I guess old man Logan, well, he's in the present, but he's in the present.
Yes, and now he's in the moment.
But good issue, thumbs up.
Yay!
And my last one on my own is Deadpool #9.
Keeping with the Hullet clan.
Yeah. Well, it's just funny. Just most of this is a big Deadpool Sabretooth fight. Deadpool saying, I'm going to do what Logan never did, put you down.
Well. Yes.
And they're all bloody and tore up, and then who comes by? A bus full of school children, Charlie.
Yes, the wheels on the bus go round and round.
The wheels on the bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. My fists bleep up Sabretooth's face. Pound, 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 pound. Cats go meow, meow, meow.
Yeah.
Don't be a Deadpool. Stay in school.
Oh, my.
And Deadpool pulls his own sword out of his chest and goes, it's a girl. I'll name her B.
Yeah.
But basically, they're fighting and fighting until Deadpool gets hit by a car and gets carried down the road while in the car.
Now, what did you think of our flashback to young Victor?
It was interesting. I mean, I think
was supposed to be young Victor, right?
Yeah, I would assume. Yeah, because he called him Victor.
Yeah, because it was a little weird to me because it doesn't look like a 1800s house, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, is he really Wolverine's brother? I mean, unlike the movie, because it's hard to tell because ever since the 80s or 90s, I know they said like Weapon X put so many like false memories in all their heads, like they didn't know, what was what.
Huh.
But yeah, the only reason Wolverine remembered is because after M Day. Yeah.
Well, isn't Wolverine's origin the comic books? There's still the canon, or is that now maybe not?
Well, yeah, the origin story, from the 1800s, but I don't think in the comics, I don't think Sabretooth was there.
Really?
I'm trying to remember. There was.
Yeah, I've never actually read it, so I can't say for certain. But I had assumed.
Yeah, no. Yeah, because he ran into him later. Because there was like there was one or two sequels to Origin, and I think Sabretooth showed up later. Yeah.
So maybe there's going to be a new reveal, or maybe that was Victor's child. Maybe there's a little Victor Jr. out there that he was evil to, and. Maybe that's Wild Child. I don't know. You don't remember Wild Child from Omega Flight?
Yeah, but no, I think that's supposed to be Sabretooth. But
yeah, you never know.
But yeah, we get all the flashbacks and everything. Because Sabretooth's all confused that Deadpool thinks Sabretooth killed his father when it was Deadpool himself who did it. But
and he says, how can someone not remember killing his own father? And then we do the cut to scene of some young blonde boy named Victor tied up in a basement being trained to be a monster.
So I wonder if Victor killed his father.
Yes. Or, like I said, or maybe maybe Victor had a son that he tried to turn into a monster like him.
Oh, maybe.
And then, not so much. I don't know.
But basically, since Sabretooth turned over a new leaf, he said he's going to take that, he's not going to tell Deadpool, he'll take the blame for the father's death. Basically, when he's told Magneto. Magneto's just like, clean this up, get it done quickly, we don't need his attention.
Yeah.
I love the family in the car that hit Deadpool. They were all scared, but then once they found out it was the real Deadpool, they're like, "Oh, you're cool. You're the real Deadpool."
Yeah, it's not some cosplay creeper like those guys at that hotel.
You're an Avenger.
Yeah, dang Skippy's an Avenger.
But that's about it. Yeah, because then Sabretooth waiting for him at the diner. But I liked it. Did you like what you saw?
Oh, yeah, no, I really liked the 3 books I saw, which were the 3 books, Spider-Man. I really like Spider-Man. I actually, I kind of want to get that. It's like, too many books.
Oh, yeah.
Too many books.
There's more coming, too.
I know, man. I know.
Not Deadpool. Moon Knight #1 comes out next week.
Oh, I know. That looks interesting.
And then I saw something online today. What is it? I think it's sometime this month. Punisher #1's coming out soon, too.
Yeah. Well, I think Gwenpool #1 comes out next week, too. So
yeah, maybe, yeah.
And I tell you, man, it's hard. It's like, yeah, I'd love to get Moon Knight, but man, I got to get Gwenpool.
Marvel, send us some freebies. We'll review every single issue of every book you put out. We just can't afford it.
Yeah, you guys would like to listen to a 2-hour Marvel Roundup, right?
I mean, even if you don't want to send us books, send us codes, digital codes, something.
There we go. Okay, ready to move on?
Yeah. Do you want to do Black Panther?
Sure, we can do Black Panther. This was my pick of the week.
This is my other pick of the week, yes.
Yeah, this is, I tell you, when I first heard Ta-Nehisi Coates, I was worried he was getting the gig because he was just a famous guy. Turns out he has real comic book, he is a real comic book nerd, and he definitely, he keeps continuity. It's going to be its own standalone Black Panther. It's not going to be part of the Marvel Universe. He's like, no, why would I not want to be part of the Marvel Universe, dude? That's where all the cool stuff happens. Yeah, good old. This is interesting because to me, one of the things that really raises up in this, and this is one of the things I have such an anticipation about this book and such an interest in this book because I do wonder, one of the things I think they're going to tackle in here is this question of, is Wakanda merely a benign Latveria? Is Wakanda really the gleaming city of the future, or is it, a little hamlet of kingly egos held in stasis against when they could be saving the world. When you think about the conflicts throughout Africa, one could say and I think they've mentioned this sometimes, that there is always this anger at Wakanda's borders, that Wakanda is this paradise when the rest of Africa suffers. And, does Wakanda owe something greater to the continent, or should Wakanda go conquering, maybe even that would be a benign action. But here we come. The workers are rebelling from the vibranium mines. And we get some great techno-mysticism from Black Panther, where he does not track by scent or body, but the soul within. He sees who causes the threat, but he cannot follow because he has to calm the crowd. Basically, we then cut to.
So do you think? Do you think like this is like a new version of the Hate Monger or something?
Oh, this being, no, she's not the hate monger. I don't think so. I think she is maybe some sort of. It seems like she is perhaps a projective empath of some sort, which is in line with the hate monger. But I don't see her in that because she seems much more. Just to jump ahead, it says, the auras never truly passed. The agony was in me. I felt it all. It was the agony of labor, Zenzi. It had to be done. It was the agony of birthing our new nation. For out of the rage shall come another Wakanda, and a better and brighter world, the Nagandan border region. Yeah, so I think she's some sort of, powerful being, maybe a mutant, maybe an inhuman, maybe something completely different. But she seems to. Although pretty amazingly, Black Panther has a whole file on her already, But we come to what I thought was a very great scene earlier in this with Wakanda's with T'Challa's not grandmother, stepmother. I'm not sure if she is Shuri's actual mother or if they merely shared a father. But either way, she is being asked to show mercy on one of the, what are they called? The can't remember how to pronounce it. The Dora Milaje.
His bodyguards.
Yeah, his bodyguards. One of them apparently killed a cruel chieftain who was abducting and sexually molesting young girls. Her partner basically is pleading for her life, and the queen mother says no. And she says, "You are exemplars of our nation, and if you will not serve in life, you will serve in death. I take no joy in doing my duty, but I will do it even as others falters." And she goes before that. She says, "You have said it yourself. Villainy overwhelms us, and your answer to this villainy is to turn the upholders of Wakandan law into its flouters." And this is which comes to your central question about vigilante justice. This was a person who was beyond the law, and she did what she had to do, but that is not the way of the world. We must, we must maintain order. When the Queen Regent speaks with T'Challa later, she makes this great point to him and says, you are not just a soldier. You are not a soldier. You are a king. It's not enough to be the sword. You must be the intelligence behind it. Because, of course, he wants to run off and go superheroing, getting the girl who's causing the trouble. And his mom's like, "No, dude, you're the king. You can't be running off to go superheroing. You've got a nation to lead, It's your basic Tony Stark conundrum. You can't go off superheroing. You've got to run a multi-billion-dollar multinational company." Anyway, our little coda, we have the woman who was put to death earlier. She's being broken out of prison by the one who was defending her. They are lovers, and they have the Midnight Angel prototype armors. Both of them, as luck would have it, there were two prototype armors in just their side. And they says, "We are both dead, but let us act as dead women should." Meaning they're going to go cause lots of trouble. Meanwhile, in Necropolis, we see Shuri's body is being held in stasis, and T'Challa trying to bring her back. Oh boy, man! Just you call a man a Panther God, and he thinks he can tamper in the laws of the universe. Dun dun dun. Of course, for him as the King of the Dead, the line between life and death has always been quite blurred. But yeah, no, big thumbs up for Black Panther. I love this book.
Oh yeah, like I said, it's my other pick of the week. You said, "Is this your pick of the week?"
This is definitely my pick of the week. There's a lot of good out there, man. I mean, Iron Man's really good too, and although the standoffs, I really like them. Although I think that there's maybe more. Well, it's kind of a decompressed storytelling style, and it's good. It hits its marks. I like it, but but it's a good week all around. What do you want to do next, Phil?
You want to do the standoff issue? Uncanny
Sure.
Avengers?
Sure.
Number 8.
Man, I feel bad for Wade in this. Well, yeah, because, every dang time. We see a woman who is clearly Rogue walking her dog, talking about how much she doesn't like Pleasant Hill because there's nothing that, there's no that everything is just perfect, too perfect, almost insipidly pleasant. I can't remember the last time I saw a fight or a fire. What does that firefighter do all day? It's just, why am I thinking about Magnum P.I., the firefighter? She goes home. It says there is one thing that is truly unpleasant here in Pleasant Hill, and we see that she has cut her sandwich into an X. Goes deet, and the voice on there says, "Do you remember?" She says, "Whoever this is, this has gone on long enough. Stop calling me. It's not funny." He says, "Something's wrong. You asked me to be the one to reach out to you." He says, "Who are you? Do I know you? Do I know you?" He says, "Yes. Let's meet in my study. Do you remember what I told you long ago?" Then we cut to Professor Xavier and Rogue in her study, and Professor Xavier is basically trying to explain how, psychic attacks work, and, I can teach you how to recognize them and fight them. And, you get a great little scene of Wolverine and classic Nightcrawler, I like he says, "Morning, Chuck." It says, "A bit early, isn't it, Logan?" It says, "Nah, I ain't slept yet, so your 5 o'clock rule ain't enforceable, bub." And then she says, "Indeed, perhaps you might one day hear my voice or see the letter X too often, and that will help you realize that something's not right." She says, "I remember, I missed something else too." See the card. She knows there was something with when she was being manipulated by Red Skull previously. And here we see Johnny Storm filling his lawnmower, and boy, it's a good thing they all kept their powers. I'll say that much for them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure because I guess that means that all the other villains all still had their powers. They just weren't using them. I guess maybe
because they didn't remember they had them, so they weren't using them.
Yeah. Says, because I think that's Ms. Marvel on the bike, and across the street, a D-lister named the Wizard. Says, "Why do I always have to fight the Wizard?" Says Johnny. Because, of course, the Wizard was his old school nemesis. And then, basically, Rogue beats up Ms. Marvel till her powers come back, till she remembers who she is. And then they gather up everybody else.
Yeah, Johnny finds Quicksilver, Cable, and Brother Voodoo.
Yep, yeah. And this is the saddest part, It says, "Hey there was a 911 call about a heart attack." It says, this is Wade. I have some bad news." And bleep Connecticut every damn time. I'm finished apologizing for being an Avenger. Oh, and I love that who's giving him flack about being an Avenger? Tony Stark, right? Yeah, yeah. Well, for this, because this time the nutmeg state delivers a spiritual death. Says, "At least if Steve were brainwashed, it would explain why he made you an Avenger." And he says, "That was never about me. It was all about you. Rogers told me I was around to remind all of you, that not everyone is a god. I'm finished apologizing for being an Avenger. The decision was made for me by Steve Rogers. You got a problem with it? Head on over to the Pleasant Hill nursing home and take it up with him. But while we're on the subject of questionable rousters, maybe forming the Tiny Tony Urban Achievers, yes, and we're all proud of all of them, wasn't your finest hour, man." Well, he shut me up. It says, "I think I know what it says." Oh, and then they go to find the Vision, who is basically playing the same tune until his hands bleed. Oh, that's so sad. And then, "You sillies aren't supposed to be awake. Time to put you back to sleep." comes the glowy cosmic QB girl with a puppy. Because, hey, every little girl wants a puppy. Good book. Thumbs up. No question.
Oh, yeah. Big thumbs up.
Okay, and that brings us to our last book this week, Phil. Invincible. Sorry, you say it.
Invincible Iron Man number 8.
Yes. Road to Civil War II. Spider-Man says his face! Exclamation point. I don't even know how you pronounce an emoji. Do you want to do the recap on this one?
No, you can do it. I had more books than you.
Okay. So Iron Man is in Tokyo, and he is talking to Friday, who is, being an AI, who is, sometimes disturbingly intelligent for something so artificial. And Spider-Man says his spider now glows for some reason. They're looking for James Rhodes. They piece together the fact that James must have put this car on the roof, but where is he now? Then we cut to James Rhodes. We find out that he is basically fighting the big techno ninja monster that has taken over the War Machine armor. And then basically they messed with the wrong, what is he, Navy SEAL? We get to that in a minute. But he's in his underwear, but he's a Navy SEAL Avenger in his underwear, as he says. And we get some really great and some really awesome fight scenes in this, and the artwork is just really phenomenal. Really, some of the best artwork out there, I think, is in this book. We cut 2 hours ago. Tony Stark basically telling, Mary Jane, find a office. You're going to be living there. She says, please tell Mr. Stark I declined the I declined the offer. Says, may I ask? No, to Friday. She may not ask, and she has to learn not to probe people without their permission. Meanwhile, I don't know, man. I'm guessing ninjas are not that well trained in the Marvel universe, even tech ninjas, because, man, people just feed them their lunch all the time. And in walks Tony and Spider-Man. And Tony warns them away, and then basically all of their tech now belong to the Technomancer Ninja being, who is all charged up. Friday can't override it. Blasting him. Tony tells him to go. Friday says she can't stop it, and then kaboom. The end. Sakatu Shellhead. That's the name of the letters page. Sakatu Shellhead. Oh, and that was another thing. Tanashi really wants us to write him letters because he says letter pages are the best part of being in comic books. So write letters to Tanashi Coates, tell him how much you love the Black Panther, and hey, write to Bendis, say Invincible Iron Man. Pretty awesome too.
I think we both have to write in the Black Panther.
Oh yeah. Oh, I got a whole thing. I've actually been working on that letter in my mind. If I wasn't going through stuff right now, I would have already written it. But there's a nice diversion in right now. Anyway,
we already sent him a text mentioning us in our podcast. So if you write to him, mention our podcast.
Okay.
I would love to talk to him on here and talk to him about his Black Panther.
Oh yeah, because I'm actually, who knows? Maybe Tanashi Coates. If you are a avid listener of Super Connectivity or the all new Marvel Roundup, we always have a microphone ready for you too. And that goes to anyone who is currently working in the Marvel Comics field, or even if you're a DC guy, come on over to one of our podcasts. We'll happily chat you up about the world of comics and what you like in it.
That's right.
That's right. And how we can get into that, because we got brilliant ideas too, man. Superior 4. That one's for free. Okay, Phil. Ready to wrap up?
Yeah. So, All right, everyone, share your thoughts on the books we talked about, some of the, any books we didn't talk about. Let us know what you're missing. We might, you can even send us audio reviews. We'll put it on their podcast. Be part of our podcast. Little hellfire. You can email us, marvelroundup@gmail.com. On Facebook, we're All New Marvel Roundup. Twitter is @Marvel_Roundup. And Instagram, our shared Instagram, is World's Finest Roundup. And Charlie, where can people find you?
Well, if you'd like to tweet along with me when I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or The Incredible Hulk or any number of other things that I may happen to tweet out there, tweet me at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's in the middle for quality. And if you'd like to write to me about comic books, and hey, Tanashi, Coates, Mr. Coates, Genius Coates, please feel free to write me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com.
All right, and any Marvel or DC creative person, like Charlie said, working on any of the books right now, if you would like to be featured on one of our wonderful Southgate Media Group podcasts, email me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com, or get a hold of me on Twitter @nightwingpdp. All right.
There we go.
Is that all the business we have, Charlie? All right, everyone. Come back next week. A lot of good stuff's coming down. Moon Knight, I think you said Gwenpool. And even further down the road, I think next month Punisher's come in. A lot of good stuff, so come join us. We'll guide you along the way. But until next week, be good. Remember, be a Black Panther, not a Man Mountain Marco.